So hi, my name is Veronica Figarella. I currently live in Peru. I am friends with Sarah. I am currently managing an office here from one of the Omnicom Media Group agencies. So we work a lot with digital marketing. I'm a country manager there. And Sarah has invited me today to speak about how to handle a crisis in social media. So I'm making this video especially for you. And I think we're going to have a live session with questions. So if you have any questions on this topic, I'll be happy to answer later on. So let's start. Let's start by defining what a crisis is. So what is a crisis? When you think of the word, what do you think about? It's definitely a moment where things get tense, where somebody needs to make a decision and where there's a turning point, right? So, crisis in social media and I think in everything in life can be seen as a drama or as an opportunity. It would definitely depend on the culture, on the DNA of the organization, right? So that's the first thing I want you to think about. Like, try to think about crisis as an opportunity and not as a drama. When it turns into a drama, we'll speak about that a bit later. Okay, so now that we understand what a crisis is and how can we approach it, how do we identify what generates a crisis? What are the things that can generate a crisis? And when you think about a product, a service, a company, anything, well, if you think about a service company, maybe a natural disaster can generate a crisis. A major technical failure can generate a crisis. But most likely, or most commonly, a crisis will be generated by someone who said something that was wrong in the first place. For example, like bias comment or a discriminative comment, sexual inappropriate comment, or something like that, right? It usually happens when a customer is treated in a wrong way and on the side of a company is not managed properly. So that's when it escalates, right? Once we know what are the things that can cause crisis, so how do we prevent it, and why is it important to prevent it? Because crisis and brand crisis and company crisis can cause a company to close, can affect the brand value, can affect the positioning that the branding has in certain markets. And I'll tell you an example later on that was critical here in Peru that happened 3 years ago. How do we manage a crisis? So we have to have a protocol in place. And the first thing we need to do is to be honest about our vulnerabilities. I mean, where are our soft points in a process of delivering a service or delivering a product? I mean, we have to be, as an organization, we need to be honest about our soft spots. And for these to happen, I mean, for us to identify where those spots are, we need to audit our processes constantly and be open to improve them. So there are a lot of people that work on this, but for you as a manager, you need to understand where are the soft and vulnerable spots of the service or product that you are delivering, because that's most likely where the crisis is going to happen. So what happens in social media is that social media is usually a channel where people ventilate stuff, and you can see it as a rubbish bin sometimes. So if you think about yourself, maybe you're not that type, but a lot of people just post there wherever they think, how they feel about brands. They tag the brand and they make it public and they tag everyone else along, because when we feel aggravated, we want everybody to know, right? And that doesn't happen when we are happy with the service that they're giving us, right? We don't tag 20 friends and say, I am so happy that this airline brought me to point A to point B safely and with a nice meal. We don't do that, right? Because that's what is supposed to happen. But if in any case our luggage didn't came in with us, for example, is in a the airline example, we tell everyone we don't want our friends to travel on that airplane again, because it happens to be that in that bag that stayed back there were our presents for our family. So imagine that. So the thing is that since social networks are this venting channel and where people get emotional, it's also an opportunity for a brand to get emotional, to be human. So social media, social networks are these places where the brand can get human, right? Can speak human. Um, so the first thing you need to do when you identify, the soft spots or the vulnerabilities in our delivery chain, and if we are on social network, we need to listen. So we need to put platform in place, like buy the proper tools to make social listening, identify the tags that are critical to our brand, and identify the key stakeholder, key ambassador, key influentiators that can have a good or bad impact into our brand reputation if they get to be feel aggravated with something that our brand did, right? So then no, you have to also take into account that not all complaints are going to be turned into a crisis. It all depends on how it is handled. But the first thing you will notice is that disparity of information. So there are many comments around a single topic, or there's a long thread behind a single comment, right? So there's a disparity of information there. You can, identify the crisis. Within this protocol that we're speaking about, that you need to have, you need to empower the people who is closest to the customer to make decisions so they can react on time and properly. If you have a protocol where the people who's on the phone or who's on the social network answering a complaint needs to ask 2 or 3 people if they can give a freebie to the customer, or if they can give the money back, or they don't have the tools to give the money back or anything, that will just make a mess out of the situation and it'll make it worse. So let's say that the recipe for disaster is not empowering the front staff to deal with unsatisfied customers, or let's say you have to give them the tools to investigate if every complaint can be solved, right? So the more empowered the frontline staff is, the better it is. So that this is why we as an organization need to invest in the training we give the frontline staff, because they're going to be the voice and the face of your organization, and they are actually the ones who are dealing with the customer every day. So to me, it doesn't make any sense that you want to have cheap or cheap processes or cheap anything in the process of handling customers, because today social networks act like an amplifier of anything that goes wrong between a customer and the company. Okay, so once you identify the crisis, once you empower your employees, you need to learn to act human as an organization. You need to learn to say, I'm sorry, we made a mistake, we acknowledge your frustration, and we're doing everything we can to help you. And you have to answer in the same channel that the problem occurred, because it doesn't make any sense that after 6 hours of the problem happening, then comes the store manager or the general manager making a statement, a very polite statement on a letter that's posted on some sort of web or some sort of email or TV or radio. That doesn't make any sense. You have to deal with the crisis in the channel that happened, right? So finally, when the crisis occur, like after everything that has happened, what can you take of it? You have to take the lessons. Where did it happen? Why did it happen? What can we make different so it won't happen again, right? So I know it sounds like common sense, but a lot of organizations fail in doing so. Think about your local telephone provider, internet provider, airline. How many times did you have a problem with the airline that the people in the counter was not able to fix for you? I'll give you an example. That's something really funny that happened here in Peru. About 4 years ago, that was 3 or 4 years ago, Domino's Pizza, that American franchise of pizza, well, they were big here. They were the #1 pizza seller in Peru. And until a cockroach appeared on somebody's pizza, right? So what happened is that this, customer was outraged that a cockroach was, of course, the cockroach was dead, hopefully, but the cockroach was on the pizza, and the customer called the store, the pizza store, and the pizza store guy said, "I don't believe you. I don't believe you. There is no such a thing. We don't do that." Okay, so denial. That's the really a no rule for handling a crisis. Customer's always right? So this annoyed customer took a photo of the pizza and put it on his Facebook account. And after speaking to the store manager, and then the store manager also saying, "We do not believe that happened. That cannot happen here. You might got it wrong. You got the cockroach in your home. You got the cockroach at home. That didn't happen to us." Right? Okay, that's how bad it was handled. So this guy started to tag everyone along, and it became a major thing. So it's like no one went to Domino's again. It went into TV. It went public. I tell you, after 3 months, Domino's Pizza was closed in Peru. They went out of operation because one single person didn't acknowledge that the cockroach could have been there from the store. All right, so that's how important it is. Of course, after 3 years, everybody forgot. Domino's Pizza is here again, but I still remember the cockroach. I don't eat Domino's Pizza. They lost millions of dollars in handling that crisis, and it all happened on Facebook. All right, so I'll leave you guys with these. I hope that I'm giving you something that is useful for your managerial careers. And well, I'll be there in a while. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. So have a great day, and be careful what you say and you post on social media, because we're listening. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.